Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome. I'm Dylan Stafford. I'm your host. If you don't know me or you haven't met me yet, I'm the Assistant Dean, Director of Admissions here at UCLA Anderson, the fully employed MBA program. We've sent this invitation to new admits in the class of 2027, as well as current students and recent alumni. So what I would invite you to do is, if you're free, is show us your face. It'll make it a lot more fun for us. And also put your class year after your name, just so we can, if you could change your name to include your class year or even your city if you want to, because it might be fun for people to get, because I know Debbie's class of, I know we have some, we know we have different years. Yes. So welcome everybody. But yeah, somebody show me a face, for God's sake. I can't, I'm a people person. I can't do, I just don't, there we go. There's, hey, Callie, yay, Erica. I appreciate everybody making space for this. Okay, Debbie, so good to see you again. All right. So yeah, if you wanted to identify yourself a tiny bit with your class year or anything like that, we would love it. Okay, so with no further ado, yeah, I wear two hats around here at UCLA. My job as Director of Admissions, that's pretty obvious, but I have this fun other job where I get to be Assistant Dean. And one of the things that I'm super passionate about is storytelling. I think stories are very profound and they're very personal. And as much as we're going to talk about AI today, human beings, no computer is going to live my life for me. So my story is something that can't be artificially created. I have to live my own story. And I have a drive time podcast, and we love to get little short videos. I love to create opportunities for interesting people to share their story. And we have alumni who are very, very fancy and successful, and then we have alumni who are, just hitting the ground running at the get started stage. And um, as awesome as it is to have the alumni who have the big titles and all of that, I find that it's really valuable to hear people when they're at the hit the ground running stage, the striver stage, because it's a little more real. And Luana Helsinger is our guest of honor today. And Luana's class of 2023. And while she was here, she was a director in fintech, and she had a great FEMBA result, got a promotion from director to VP, kind of like, crushed it. She was very helpful with us with marketing and recruiting. I'll put a link in the chat later of one of my favorite videos of all time. Her graduation reflection was so fun because her energy is contagious. And um and then she's going to tell you the rest of the story, but let's just say she's executed a pivot, and she's executing a pivot. And we have that new idea of transformative leaders as our brand, or our overarching identification of the culture of Anderson. And some of you've heard me, but I use the butterfly metaphor, right? The caterpillar, when it becomes a butterfly, the caterpillar is not a 10%, the butterfly is not a 10% better caterpillar. The butterfly is brand new. And, many people get their MBA, and we always talk, oh, plus 50, 60% salary bumps, great results like that many people experience. And as sign me up for a 50% raise. I'll take it tomorrow, right? That would be a great improvement. But if I still have the same job and same title with a improved salary, I've changed, but I haven't transformed. And transformation it's still me, but it's not the me that it was before. And Luana and I've kept up since graduation, and she told me, like, yeah, I got the promotion, I'm good to go. And then I've got this itch, like, what about AI? And how do I get into that world? And what she's going to share with us about today is how she's getting into that world, and what's happened in the, not very long, short period of time since she graduated, and how she's reinventing herself post MBA, standing on the shoulders. So that was a lot of words. Luana, hold tight for 1 second. Also, we have another guest of honor. We have Professor Paulo De Rezende, who is the faculty director of our Global Access program, who shares a cultural heritage with Luana. We have Brazil is in the house, and he's graciously joined us today. He was Luana's GAP faculty advisor, so they shared the Global Access Program educational experience together. And at some point, we're going to hear from him. If I want to respect his time, but I'd love, there's the Global Access Program AI Assistant. There's a new initiative that's happening within our curriculum. The spotlight's on Luana, but I'm grateful for Paulo's time, and so we'll kind of weave that in also. So anyway, I'm just honored to have Paulo. Thank you for joining us. This was a last minute addition to our event. Okay, so with no further ado, let me kind of hand it over. Luana, anything else I need to tell them about you? Any important things? You went to undergrad in Brazil, and then you earned a master's degree, and then you came to America, and then I kind of hand it off to you. Is that a good handoff?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi. Hello, FEMBA. It's great to see you. Paulo, so good to see you. Everybody, pay attention to Paulo. He's a best faculty to go through the gap. Well, I see a lot of 2027s, and hey, Debbie, she's from my class. And welcome the 2027s. And I hope I want to share some of my more like the career professional experience here with you, and also say hi and say I'm available. I think the beauty about going to a school like Anderson's that we have this more teamwork mindset. I have so many friends that go to like Harvard, and people, it's so much into competition that you don't make friends. So here, I think we help each other, and it's beautiful, and it has been very helpful for me into this trying to get into AI world. And so to tell a little bit about me, but I want to make this more about like for you to think that everything's possible mindset. And I think Debbie and we have been talking about this a lot. Very, very quick. My background is corp dev. It's in the M&A finance world. But also about passion, right? I think when we are in finance or marketing or HR, or any part of like a corporation, we can choose our sectors. Very different than, for example, when you specialize and you're a doctor. Once you specialize and you're a doctor, you're gonna be a doctor in that field for a long, long time. Yes, you can change, but it's so hard. But in our field of business, it's so easy for us to go to the sector the most aligned, and sector really changes our relationship with our own toolkit, for example. So I love finance. I love doing a merger and then acquisition. But if the sector doesn't like keep me up at night, then, it's like, okay, another DCF for this oil and gas company. No, I can't do this. I really can't. So I did oil and gas for many years. I was an equity research, and the finance was there, but then you have to like read about the sector. If you are in the HR, the marketing, the legal counsel, it really doesn't matter. The sector is a very important piece. Then I wanted to do more into the technology world, and I went to the fintech, and it was very cool. Blockchain is a very dear technology to my heart. But then I start using AI and reading about AI. It's a sector that all of us can actually build together because there is not a direction being followed. And that really inspired me to, wow, if I can apply my toolkit, which is finance, now in this very cool sector, that's what I want to do. And I think it's so much more rewarding when we actually have that sector backgrounds, the passion, and our career will change, our passions will change. I wanted to do equity research, I did, and then it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Now I want to do this. Now I want to do this, and it will change your 2027 in these next 3 years. Oh my God, you're gonna want to do so many things, and then you're gonna do it, and then it's gonna be, it wasn't that. And that's the beauty also, like we can always be changing. And one person really inspired me in all of this, Sam Altman. OpenAI CEO who I personally dislike. I totally, so if this goes to YouTube, hi, Sam Altman, me and you, we have some catch up to do. But he really inspired me in one thing. He's very young, he's 38 years old. So, and Sam Altman, he's a Stanford dropout, of course. And if you like learn about his story, he's not like the most smart person in the room. You know, like the guy is like he kind of just, you know, goes where he wants to be. He's very good though at branding himself. So when I decided to go to AI, I finished at the MBA in December, packed everything, moved to the Bay Area. Didn't know like one person here, but UCLA, right? So in 1 second, I knew like so many people because of UCLA. We have a WhatsApp, and then I was like, "Hey, I'm here," so all friends, etc. And then I start knocking on doors, like sending my resumes. I want to do corp dev in AI. I thought I was the only person who wanted to do that. Oh my God, I was such a fool. But it's good to be like fool sometimes, because if I knew how hard it would be, maybe I wouldn't have done. But okay. And I was like, oh, hey, and then interviews. Oh, what are your experience in AI? Oh, zero. But Sam Altman experienced AI, it's also zero, and he's leading OpenAI. Like, what's my difference from Sam Altman? Honestly, 2 years. I'm 36, he's 38. That's how I see. He made it because he networked the Silicon Valley in and out, and he branded himself as an AI person, which he became in 2019. So, like, okay, if he is the CEO of the most powerful AI company in the world, and he has been doing this for like 2019, 2020, I can also do it. You can also do it in any sector you want. And the beauty about social media is that you can brand yourself. So that's when in March, I was applying for jobs. It has been like super brutal, not like finding my job. And I decided to, well, I have learned that I have studied over like 400 hours in this AI since last year. I'm going to start
So
my
let me
YouTube.
just interrupt. Let me interrupt your flow, Luana. I want to underline that. So one of the reasons I really wanted to bring your story to everyone is when you told me that. So after graduating, following this spark, right? Many of us have a spark, but we don't know what to do with it. We don't let it turn into something. You really want to introduce you because you're modeling what we can do with our life, which is I'm going to nurture that. So 400 hours of self-study. You've taken UCLA extension classes, you've taken Stanford courses on AI, just to give yourself a baseline on this brand new thing that's happening. That, as you're saying, the CEO of OpenAI 2019, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, declared himself, and you're patterning it, but yet doing it your own way. So I just wanted to underline that. And that 400 hours, right? Like our old dean, Judy Olian, used to say at graduation, you people think you're graduating today. Ha ha ha. We call it commencement. You're not graduating. You are commencing forth into a lifetime of learning. And I really thought that was like a tough love, but very accurate statement. Like even after we graduate, now I have the MBA, but the journey continues. So back to you. I just wanted to underline the 400 hours because that is epic.
Yeah, the journey continues, the study continues. The 400 hours, I was also doing the MBA because that's when my spark became. I just quit my job. So I also had the benefit of time. Time is something very important. So I was doing kind of full-time FEMBA, but also really immersing myself. So I got to Silicon Valley, like, oh my God, I know so much about AI. I'm gonna get a job in 2 seconds. Not happening. But in March, then I decided, okay, I know that I know, but they don't know that I know. I need to brand myself. I need to tell the world what I know, because no one is gonna like tell you, oh yeah, that's true, you know. Or sometimes I think we wait too long for a title, and that title tells what you know. It's like, I don't want a CEO or any company to define what I know and what I don't know. It's not about a title. It's not that someone else will give to me. Titles are great. And yes, think about the titles, but I am more than that. I will never be like boxed into titles. So I decided to create my YouTube channel in AI. It's called butwhai. If you want to take a look after. And I have some tips here if you want to talk about initiating like your YouTube channel. I created some step by step. But the reason I did it wasn't just to become a content creator. It was to really gain the power of who I am, my titles to myself. Otherwise, I'm going to be waiting for a company in Silicon Valley to say, yes, now you are part of AI. No, you are part of the world that you want to be the time that you want. You don't need to wait for the world to see that. But it helps if you show, hey, this is my YouTube channel. This is my LinkedIn profile. So it's something for you to think during this journey on FEMBA. It's how you can let the world know what you know. And maybe you don't want to start a YouTube channel, but you should at least be very focal on your LinkedIn about the things you know. And having said that, I have been reached out by so many recruiters in the fintech world still. Like, I'm still pushing the AI, but because of LinkedIn. So, you know, even if you don't want to do anything else in social media, use the 3 years to brand, and anything is brandable. That's the beauty about social media. If you go to a conference, take a picture like, yeah, I came to this conference. People see this. I took a picture with Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA at GTC. I saw him. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to make such a great post. I ran. I'm like, hi, Jensen. I need to take a picture with you. I took a picture. That picture I posted on my LinkedIn. I have, I don't know, like almost 1,000 people liked that picture or saw that picture. But people from NVIDIA reached out to me. Now I have like a Brazilian uh, executive in NVIDIA, saw my picture with Jensen Huang. He lives in Seattle, but saw his pictures like, hi, oh, I saw you connected to Jensen Huang. Let's connect. And then we made a Zoom call and it's like, oh, do you want to refer for a job in NVIDIA? Let's keep talking. So even if it's not your YouTube channel, do the LinkedIn thing and don't be, shy about it, because that's the beauty about America, is that we learn how to network. We learn how to like, hey, talk about the things that we do. And I have to learn this because in Brazil, oh, Debbie, I think you're, I mean,
Oh,
Debbie,
I'm
I
so
think,
sorry.
yeah, sorry, no, go. So I think something that I love about the US is that here it's such okay to brand ourselves versus like Brazil is like, oh, be humble about it. No,
Right.
here you can do it. It's okay. And you should do it because that's what Sam Altman did. This is how, like, I have a video of how OpenAI was created. I can't wait for the day that like me and Sam Altman are gonna be like in a political debate. It's gonna be the Trump and Harry. It's gonna be me and Sam Altman. I love Anthropic though. If Anthropic is seeing this video, hi. But it's for you to think about this, right? Like, how can you brand yourself in the fields that you want to participate? And these fields will change. I was oil and gas. I moved into mining. Then I went to fintech. And yes, now I am not hired by an AI company yet, but I will be. I'm interviewing with some of the AI companies. Other things that happen as well is like through my channel. It's only like 2 months. This executive at Disney reached out to me. It's like, hi, Luana, I was watching your videos. And I just want to say that I really like your content, and I'm teaching a UCLA extension class. And now 2 of your videos are going to be required for my class. and I've never met this person before. So the other reason I did the YouTube channel is really thinking about what Silicon Valley is made of. Silicon Valley is made of companies that it's scale. How can we think about that for ourselves? And I really thought, how can I scale? I can networking and going door to door, sending resumes is very time consuming. And once I'm talking to one person, I'm not talking to the other one. But if I make a video, this video is running 24 hours, 7 days a week. I saw this content creator woman that she's an architect and she became a content creator. She has now over like 200,000 followers, and she got a job because her YouTube channel. She went through like a recruiting process. The management confessed to her at the end, but they were like, I don't know, she seemed a bit arrogant. And then they went to watch her on her YouTube channel and said, oh no, this was probably she was she was having all these emotions because it's an interview, and hired her after watching her videos, which is running 24/7. So it's something really to think about, this way that we brand ourselves. How can we scale? Because there will be a day that you will want to change jobs, with exception of Dylan, who has been like at UCLA forever. But most people at some point will want to change the jobs. And at that time, it's just going to be so much easier if you have some type of trailing somewhere, or on your LinkedIn or YouTube or TikTok. Um, so I really
Well,
think
and let me just riff on that for just a quick second, Luana. I'm 55, people. I got my MBA in 1995. It'll be a long time, 30 years this fall. I lucked out. I found a place that's a great fit. My wife's an entrepreneur, so I'm the steady Eddie insurance. Great. And it's so fun to work with people who are creating their futures. And we live in this delicate moment, right? Where you can say the wrong thing and people yell at you and say you're bad and wrong. And, where everything's so political. Another benefit of leaving, Luana said, a trail, leaving a digital fingerprint of who you are, right? I love my drive time interviews. I've interviewed over 100 incredible UCLA students and alumni. So if anybody, I'm the wrong, there's people who think my gender and my this and my that is bad, you know, and that's fine. I love people, and I want to judge people by their character, but it's nice to have a digital trail, because some people can take one little sentence out of context and say that person is an X or a Y or a Z. And, you know, there's something about having a professional fingerprint that, is useful in the world. And social capital is useful in the world. And what I anticipate for Luana is not only will she get something, but she's going to be able to turn down many somethings, right? Because people are busy and people need signals. So MBA is a signal, UCLA is a signal, AI is a signal, YouTube channel, influencer, content creator. These are 5 signals: Brazilian, young, female, international. There are a lot of signals about her that, how do we humble brag? Well, in Luana, we got to show them your page too. So I make sure we show them your channel. But what she's done, she invested the 400 hours to educate herself to a level where she can now teach others. And now she's created, and they're short. They're 8 minutes long. They're very, Mr. Beast. They got movement. They're alive. They're not like, I talk to people for hours. It's just one camera. Hers are much more interactive and much more vibrant. And in 8 minutes, the person said, wow, 2 of these are going to be required in my UCLA extension course. So knowing your audience, having something to say, saying it professionally, saying it well, saying it digitally, being of service. So I just wanted to underline all those pieces. Back to you.
sure. Thank you, Dylan. Yes, the digital train. Let me show you a little bit of my page. Screen 2 is here. Share. And the angle, and really I hope that this can spark some of how can you leave your digital trail, right? So it's called butwhai. It's like the why in AI. As I was learning, I was like, okay, but why? So this is all created by me. So these are, as Dylan was saying, like very short videos. I created thumbnail. I created like the colors, the content inside. This past video was a month ago, has over like 3,000 views only on mouth to mouth, people seeing. And I haven't really like made a super marketing campaign yet to increase my subscribers, but so 2 months, 260. I'm working on my 6 videos, so I'm editing, and has been so rewarding. It has been, if you have a itch to create a YouTube channel, do it, because the reward of like, wow, watching all the creation process. And I'm not a creator, I'm a finance person, I'm an Excel, PowerPoint. Nowadays I know CapCut, I know Canva. I made a list of things for whoever is interested in becoming a content creator. I will share a link, and please reach out to me. I am, if you're brewing, I'm always more than happy to talk to you. But it's I put a presentation together. It's a bit long, so I won't go through the slides, but please, I just want to encourage and say, it's not that someone is helping me. You can do it. That's a message also that I think it's super important to share. That my background is not a creative person. Well, I guess everybody is creative, but and also I really hope like most of you are 2027. I think Debbie and I really got a very bad market in terms of career, right? I think market counts. And 2023, 2024, we are in this very strange period in the hiring process. I hope that 2027, it's going to be easier for all of you. But regardless, think about that, leaving your digital trail, that it's super important.
Well, could I, since, because I don't know how long we have Paulo, could we add a chapter at this point? So, if you don't mind, take us back to your Global Access Program capstone, give us a thumbnail on that, and then, and then we'll talk about what it's like to have your faculty advisor, who is also the executive director. So he wears 2 hats in your situation. And then you would love to hear a little bit, Paulo, so let's give them a little module within this. So we're now going to go out of scope. So we've been talking about since graduation to now, the big move, establishing herself, the 400 hours, learning, going from PowerPoint and Excel to Canva and every other thing to be a content creator in a very cutting edge discipline. So that's what we've covered so far. So now we're going to tell the story out of sync and go back to the 3rd year of the program and the capstone in the Global Access Program. So take us back there, Luana, and then riff with Paulo too, please.
Yeah, absolutely. It was my favorite UCLA experience. Oh my God, Gap was amazing. I didn't do BCO, so I can't really speak about BCO, but Gap, that's like really gave me something that for me to understand that I and you and everyone else can tackle any problem you want as long as you put time in. So we had to tackle a problem, and if you do Gap, and this is the capstone, everyone will have to do this, and you pick a company, which company you want to work with, and then you're going to have a problem. And you're not going to know about the sector. Probably it might be that you know about the sector, but most likely you won't know about the sector. You won't know about the product. Won't know about the market. But given 6 months and given the amazing guidance of Paulo or other advisors, you will be able to figure it out, not only understand, but also have opinions about the market, opinions, recommendations. So with the right amount of time, anything you want is possible. But Paulo, please, I think you have such a long history about guiding students in Gap.
Yeah, thank you, Luana. Thank you for comments. As you mentioned, the idea is that students are thrown into a problem that's not necessarily their original industry, right? So in the case of Luana's team, we had a very challenging project, I think, which was helping the school understand the factors that enable graduate students from Anderson to get jobs more quickly, right? So there are multiple factors. It's a very open, very broad question. And just to make matters more interesting, in her case, the project had an international component. So helping international students to be able to get the positions they're looking for. So what the school strategy should be in order to facilitate that process. So Luana and her team identified first at the very top level what were the priorities from an industry perspective, consulting, finance, investment banking, and I think I missed another one, right? There was maybe another one. And then about regions, what regions were most important, what regions the school had a good footprint. So it was going from a very broad problem into a next step of refinement. And from thereafter, identifying what kind of information, what kind of research need to be done in order to be able to identify potential findings and patterns and make those out recommendations. So it was a challenging project, as I remember, but the results were excellent, even to the extent of identifying how the school should allocate its own financial resources to the efforts that they were investigating regarding career services, and what impact would that same amount of money would have to the school in other forms of result. So it was a very comprehensive. It took multiple disciplines from the core curriculum that Luana and her team and any FEMBA student sees in the core curriculum, and applying those disciplines into a real-world scenario with an external client, meaning not a classroom client, but a client that has that particular problem to solve, and then taking that to the next level. I remember that the final content of Luana's team's presentation was very good, a lot of food for thought, and to a large extent, a number of things I'm doing GAP or other programs today is influenced by the work that you did. I forgot which year was that, 2022 maybe?
Yeah, it was because it's the second year. Yeah, I suppose
Yeah.
we did in 2022.
So yeah, just to give you an idea, yes, that the recommendations that I had there made me aware of how important it is to closely tie the work done in the capstone with career opportunities. So in more recent, my recent capacity as director of the capstone programs for the client-faced ones like GAP and FEMBA, one thing that I'm been stressing is what I call the capstone continuum. Your capstone is not only the 6 months of a FEMBA program that happens in GAP, or the new name of BCO is now BCC, Business Creation Capstone, but actually it starts all the way back in Foundations of Inclusive Leadership, where you start setting up your goals as a recent admitted student. What do you need to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish to your FEMBA program? So during the capstone, we are going to revisit our initial goals and see if they need to be adapted, recalibrated with what you have developed at that up to that moment when you're about to start your capstone, and use the capstone 6-month project to push for those goals that you are setting for yourself. Maybe they are, and most likely they are slightly different from the original ones. So you are trying to connect from a personal development level what you have done prior to the GAP program and what you're going to do during the GAP program, but also what you're going to do after. And doing after, you just saw one very interesting example from Luana's career after school and after GAP. At the end of the program, we are going to ask students to reflect. Going back 6 months, going back 2 years, have you achieved your goals or not? What do you have identified your strengths? What do you need to polish in the next few months? So you take the opportunity to assess how far you are in your journey, if any additional adjustments are needed. So in this continuum, the idea is that the GAP program goes all the way back to your initial days in the school and links up to your career. Another thing that we are doing, Luana, and I appreciate a lot of what you mentioned about LinkedIn and others, we are helping GAP students to communicate about their GAP experience in LinkedIn and also in their resumes, how they make a connection about their practical experience during the program with the outside world. And as you mentioned, you have to be visible. One of the ways, of course, is to be a thought leader in certain topics, as you are doing in AI. Other way is to making connections about your experience in GAP to your LinkedIn and to your resume. And then if that was not fun enough, what we have been doing here for the last few months at a very, very fast speed is trying to integrate a AI assistant, let's say a large language model, which happens to be OpenAI's ChatGPT 4o, into an environment where students can use. They can use without being worried about the intellectual property of the school or of the university going to the outside world. So this is a ring-fenced environment with Microsoft Azure. And we have trained that environment in particular with assignments and core curriculum classes and teaching notes from the Anderson professors, and the final deliverables from GAP. So meaning from GAP, from SMR and MR, all the client-facing programs, their final deliverables are being used to train the model. So the idea is that besides a number of other resources you have one which is AI-based, and you can interact and interface with this model, which is customized for the capstone. There will be others in the school customized with other things. But the goal here is that as you are tackling your client real life problem, you can tap on the experience of Luana's team, other teams through the deliverables that they delivered and I used to train the model, but also on the teaching notes and classes from previous professors. I'm using this for the first time for GAP, which means it's about maybe a month old, very interesting results. And one of the challenges that I have is to communicate to the students, the AI is not going to do the homework for you. This is an assistant. Some people totally understand that, okay, this is something for me to start and to interact and grow. Of course, other people have the expectation, oh, this is not good enough because it's not doing my assignment. And this is by design. We do not want students to outsource their assignments to a bot. So the way we are structuring is really for students to grow. And some results that I have received so far are very interesting because the assignments now changed. Instead of the final version of the deliverable, I provide this and just evaluate knowledge based on that final version. The game changed quite a lot. So I provide a prompt to the students. They customize that prompt to their project needs. They get an output. That's what I call version 0. It's worth a C. You don't have passing grade at that level. They need to work from the initial draft to their final draft. They'll be evaluated by the final version. But also, okay, they have to do a short memo to explain how they got from the initial to the final, meaning what was their thought process, that what they got was not good enough, what the deficiencies were, and how they improved from there. And this memo for me is incredibly important because it's an insight into the students' critical thinking, and some of the results I have been so far are very, very good. So Luana, I need to do a demo for you at certain point.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Yeah, we should definitely do it. And one of the things from Gap now, I think it's amazing that you're gonna combine this with career. One thing that I didn't know, maybe I should have known, but things that I didn't know, but I wish I knew about UCLA is that as you go through the program, is that a new career and use Gap, like you're gonna become very close to certain people, but even, you know, make sure that you meet your classmates, because not only you're gonna learn from them and have fun with them, but referrals. All the interviews I had so far, as I'm trying to get into an AI company, have been because of being referred. And before I thought referrals was like super something very formal. No, referrals is part of a system that companies have, and they can refer. And if any person that, works at that company. Let's say if someone works at Anthropic and there is a UCLA guy who works at Anthropic. I never met him before. He's at FEMBA. But I reached out and say, hey, hi, I'm a fellow brewing, moving to the Bay Area. My dream is to work at Anthropic, blah, blah. Can you refer me? In 1 second, he said, yeah, absolutely. Like, which position? And this happened with multiple other brewings. Didn't get the job yet. But hey, need to keep pushing. But still, because of this alum, FEMBA, I was able to get an interview at Anthropic, and this continues, and I have multiple other examples. So be aware that this is something also for you during this this FEMBA amazing experience.
And let me underline 2 quick things, and then maybe if anybody has any questions, we could take some questions. 2 things I'd want to underline would just be the networking or the referrals, as was mentioned, and the confidence. So as I observe it, 20 years plus being here, the 3 just automatic networks that you take away from FEMBA. One is your core class, because you see those same people fall, winter, spring, and then half of your second year. So that, 50 to 70 people, for the rest of your career. Hey, Debbie, it's Dylan. Oh, hey, Dylan. You don't have to say I'm the white guy with the brown eyes. Like everybody know, okay, there was one Dylan in my section. There was one Debbie. So that's network number 1. Network number 2, network number 2 are your electives, right? And those are the, like, so if you focus on finance, you'll know a bunch of people in finance. If you focus on real estate, if you focus on entrepreneurship. So that's a second network for the rest of your career, because you shared those classes that you chose, where you customize. But the third one is your capstone. And for the 6 months, the 4 other people on your team, whether it's GAP or BCO, like for those 6 months, it's intense. And those folks will also be your network. So, some of you are like, everybody said, oh, networking, how do you do it? Is it like some magical art? Well, you can network a lot more than that, but those 3 are baked in. So I wanted to underline networking because Luana has been getting traction, brand new industry, brand new geography, taking advantage of the Anderson network. And then the second one is confidence. And what I love about our capstones is they're very smartly placed. They're not the last 6 months. You actually, they're 2/3 of the way through, and it's an MBA within the MBA. There are more faculty teaching the Global Access program, like all your other classes, there's 1 faculty. But with GAP, there's like 14, 16 faculty advisors in a community teaching the entire GAP cohort. So you have your faculty advisor, but you also have a sister team, you're observing, there's just a lot of teaching happening. And everything you've learned in the entire core, plus the first half of your electives, you get to wrestle with the real ambiguous, no right answer business challenge using everything you've learned so far. And you get to try out your MBA while you're getting your MBA with 4 other classmates in a team-based collaborative environment, which is just like what? It's just like the real world. We don't know what the answer is. We're in charge. We're the executive team. We have imperfect information, constraints on our resources, a competitive landscape. Go. So, if you really want to get to know somebody, go to dinner with them, travel with them, or go to battle with them. And GAP is all 3. You're gonna do that, and you're gonna know those people forever. So last thing, and then maybe we could do some questions. But Professor Paulo said, the capstone continuum. So the last prompt for you, Luana, is, anything about the MBA overall or GAP in particular, like you said, hey, I know Excel and PowerPoint, and now I'm just kind of throwing my hat over the fence, learning all these new things. So anything about what you learned about approaching a new challenge from GAP that has been maybe in the background or maybe in the foreground of you guiding yourself these last, in this new chapter?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because with GAP, you don't have, as Paulo said, there's no right answer, right? So you are within this group, and it's kind of a ride or die experience. One of the people became one of my best friends. One of the people become my worst enemy. It happens. So pick your people. But it's really a ride or die. But with that experience, there was a lot of guidance. Your advisor, Paulo, or other advisor will be there with you, but they also don't know the answer. So you have to figure it out. And for me, getting that gap experience, it was what I needed to build my YouTube channel. I really sat down and was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it. I literally, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. For 30 minutes, I was saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I didn't do it. Okay, no, that's not what Sam Altman did. He said he's an AI person and he put himself out there. I would do the same. So I sat down and I literally outlined what I needed, thinking about gap. Okay, I need to learn who is Mr. Beast. I had no idea who Mr. Beast was 2 months ago. He is the person who broke YouTube. He has over 300 million followers. But yeah, I didn't know who he was. I needed to understand YouTube. I needed to understand, like, do I need to buy an expensive camera? I don't want to buy an expensive camera. So I really outlined liking the gap experience. And I was approaching to pieces. Something that gap really taught me is like, oh yeah, at the beginning, when you see something, it's going to be so scary because how do you start? But there is always a way, like starts little by little, starts little by little, starts. It's important to start. Get the knowledge of that piece and stop. Because also all knowledge, like all pieces can be infinite, and right? So, okay, let me learn about editing. Oh yeah, I can spend 5 years just doing that. So learn, move, learn, move. So this was for sure the gap. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I want to highlight one thing that you mentioned, both you mentioned about the uncertainty of not knowing the right answer, right? And this is by design. The way we design these capstone programs is that you'll be dealing with a lot of ambiguity and taking you students out of your comfort zone. I want to believe that that helped with many other things that Luana did in her career, but being comfortable being outside of the comfort zone is important, because then when you're going to do some next step in your careers, it's not totally unprecedented, right? You have been there in these difficult situations before. You know how you're going to handle yourself. So it's not only about the challenges, the hard skills that you need, but also your emotional skills. And then making that particular step in outside of the comfort zone becomes something rather normal. Of course, I can speak for hours about this from my own experience, but that's not the topic.
Well, maybe we have time for a couple questions. Or Debbie, anything you want to say as a peer on the journey? Oh, okay, perfect. Please, Debbie.
Hey guys, sorry, I'm on my phone, so it's a little hard to find the buttons. Luana, thanks so much for taking the time, and Professor De Rezende, thank you so much for joining as well. I wanted to echo that. I don't want to be like scary about it, but when you get out of school, like I was very, very social and involved, but that network of just like getting all those emails where you feel like you're bombarded with events, it's gonna start going silent. And not saying that there's not events, there's tons of events, especially if you join your local alumni chapter, but it's going to start going, the onus is going to be on you to follow up. And the more you nurture those relationships and make time for a quick coffee, or even just like meeting someone 30 minutes before class to just like hang out, chat, find out what's going on in their life, it's going to be easier to continue that. It's not saying you can't start fresh relationships with some of your alums after you graduate, but it's so important to start that. And to Luana's point, that the network the investment I took to put in that time has reaped rewards like I can't even tell you. Post-grad, I've had people who I've known for 2 years like put me up in their house while I was job searching in the Bay. I mean, helping me with direct referrals and just being there, not only but professionally, but emotionally and as a friend. So I highly recommend that. I know some people who just showed up, went to class, left. That's fine. You do you. But the network is also what you're paying for. So if you're paying for the class, that's great, but you're also paying for the people. So just remember that. Especially in this market, it's a really tough market, and the network is a lot of currency that you're gonna have to cash in, because it's hard to get a job in this, as you guys probably know. And Luana, great job with the personal branding. We talk about that in the job search team, and you're a wonderful example of that. Honestly, yeah, you create your brand. I love, one of my favorite things that you said in this was, don't let people box you in with a job title. If you have more to offer, put it out there. That's true. And with today's day and age, you control your image, you control your media, you self-publish. You don't have to wait for someone else to publish you. So that's great. Okay, now for my question. As a content creator, and someone who's worked in this content marketing for many years, it can be tricky to get a content calendar going. How did you decide, one, what your niche was going to be, like what area of AI you were going to tackle? And how did you decide, like, how did you A/B test whether or not that was going to get traction? And two, how did you set up a content calendar, and how did you stick to that content calendar?
Thank you, Debbie. Yes, for the network. A lot of people have like slept at like here when they are coming to San Francisco, like just really, really make friends. The content creation, I knew I wanted to talk about AI. So in that sense was easier for me. Mr. Beast, he just wanted to have a YouTube channel. That was his goal. He didn't have a niche. And I knew, okay, it's going to be AI. In terms of designing of the content, I'm also lucky that AI has so much to talk about that whenever I see a topic, and as you watch, as you're learning about something that you like, you're going to have questions. You're going to think, oh, this is interesting. So whenever I'm like listening to an AI podcast or watching YouTube about AI or going to a class, I keep the notes. So I have like on my notes here, like a lot of the content that I want to create. And the way that I pick, okay, what's going to be next, it's not yet about the views, because I'm still wanting to try to really make sure that I'm talking about the basics of AI first. But as I have more content, I think it gets more complicated as you are a YouTube channel, a YouTuber for a year. But now in the beginning, what you have on your side is that, wow, it's the beginning. So you will have a lot of content. So I have way more content than I have time to create a video at this point. So if you're thinking about YouTube, go for it, because you will have, even if you want to talk about like how to cut an avocado. I literally watched a YouTube video today on how to cut an avocado. And this lady, she has over 1 million views on how to cut an avocado.
Wow.
Plus, oh, one last thing. I'm not doing this to monetize my channel, but it will be monetized one day. So this will become passive income for me for sure. So I wanted to monetize now more into the branding side, but once you have 1,000 subscribers, which is not hard, I just started and I have like almost 300. The tricky part is the second piece. You have to have 4,000 watchtowers. So cumulative, people have to have spent 4,000 hours in your channel. So that's why it might take for me like a year and a half. You can monetize it faster if you're like, okay, you have to make a lot of content. But since my first goal is not the monetization, it's more the branding, I'm taking my time. But if you want to monetize a channel, you can really monetize and make a lot of passive income there.
Any other
Thanks, Luana.
questions? Oh, please go ahead, Debbie.
Oh, I just said thanks.
Yeah. And thank you for the work, Debbie, and the leadership you're bringing to the alumni job search teams, right? You guys went through a really tough chapter, and not everybody walked out of Anderson with the perfect job. And so then what, right? Well, that can be our journey too. And I got my one and only job offer for my MBA the week of graduation, and I was like, did I miss a memo? What am I doing wrong? Right. So in MBA, it's, this is performance art. This is real life. So And you know, those networks and the sticking together and the using the village to expand your efficacy is part of what we learn here. Management is achieving goals through and with the time and talents of others, above and beyond my personal limitations. And it's a different dance than I'll figure this out on my own. So, Zemming, please.
All right. Thank you so much. Luana, thank you. Before my questions, I just want to say thank you for being such a role model and inspiring person. My name is Zemming. I'm currently a manager at Ernst & Young, so I'm a finance person as well. Well, I also know Excel and PowerPoint, maybe a few other like data visualization tools. I know for sure AI is going to take over many of our tasks right now we're doing. And as a finance professional, I'm questioning myself too, like how can I prepare myself to be better positioned and still contributing values to my team, my client. But when I think about the question, the answer is often unknown, right? Because they're the Pandora box. You know, the AI is a Pandora box. You don't know what's in there. I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer. How can I break into AI? So when I think about, okay, I need to start studying and I have so much to lose. I have family and it's so much time and I can't compromise. So I really inspired by your journey. So one question I really want to learn from you is Luana, if you don't mind to share a little bit, like what is the one thing that pushes you keep fighting in the time that, you know, I know for a fact I'm gonna leave everything on the table that I have fought so far and then transition to a new journey that, you know, not sure what's going to happen in the future. What is the one thing that pushes you to fight for that success?
So beautiful. You're so inspiring, Zemming. Well, nice to meet you. And let's definitely be in touch with the finance people trying to break into tech. AI is not going to take our jobs away, but I promise. But the one thing for me is our age. We are very young. I'm 36 and I look at myself, I feel so young and we are very young. If we don't make bets on ourselves now, we're not going to make bets on ourselves later. That's the time, right? So if everything just explodes and then I call mom, oh my God, this YouTube channel is such a terrible idea. Imagine. Hi, Daddy, can I like be your roommate for a while? It's okay if I do that now, but when I'm like 60, it's gonna be tougher. So I think it's our age. We're all very young. That's the time. That's the time that we can, you know, and I'm 36, I'm gonna turn 37. And when I'm turned 40, I'm still young, 45. Like that's the time.
Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. I'm sure I'm gonna follow your channel. And let's keep in touch. Thank you so much, Luana.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, excellent. Well, it's 1 o'clock, so you know, I had the idea that we'd get done 10 minutes early, but this was so wonderful and fascinating. And you know, Debbie, thanks for being here and bringing some, you know, wind beneath the wings. Paulo, an honor to have your presence on this, both as the GAP faculty director overall, but also as actually Luana's faculty advisor. And then Luana, yay, jazz hands. You know, it's inspiring and yeah, and you're doing it right now. You know, big things are coming, you know, it's unfolding, but you're doing it right now. And thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being vulnerable, open, and generous with your time. And just thanks for making stuff happen out in the world. Because, you know, your light provides light for our pathways too. And thanks for leading by example. So all you wonderful 27s, we'll be seeing you very shortly at Foundations of Inclusive Leadership. I will record this, share the link around. Luana's, how would you like them to get it? Well, Luana, we'll talk offline how you want me to. I gave everybody your LinkedIn and your channel.
Yeah, please connect. I'm not a celebrity. You know, I'm just a brewing like you. I was starting my brewing year some years ago. I'm just someone like you. I'm not a YouTube influencer yet, but even the day I become, I'm still a brewing. So hey, let's connect if you have questions. I'm here. Hey, Leah, good to see you, another Brazilian. So yeah,
Hi,
Erica,
Luana, good to
Kelly.
see you.
Good-
Great
Kelly, I
talk.
see you live in San Francisco. We should definitely like, hey, let's you know, we need to meet. We need to have coffee together. That's how how it works.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. Just a treat. And I'll stop the recording. And thanks everybody. And just have a wonderful rest of the day. And to be continued.
Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you.